This is one of the games on the list that looked promising. The art was super charming, the premise was interesting, and people in the comments of the itch page seemed to like it. And it's not like it did anything egregiously wrong, but Corinne Cross's Dead and Breakfast is perhaps the best example I've seen of a 5 out of 10 game. Released on March 4th, 2018 by Bad Chalk, Corinne Cross's Dead and Breakfast tasks the titular Corinne with managing the home of a family friend, Julie Styron, while she's in the hospital after her son died. The Styron home used to be a bed and breakfast, but is now inhabited by ghosts. This isn't a horror game at all, just so you know. No anti-ghost propaganda here. The ghosts are, at worst, annoying and generally friendly. But that's not the problem. The problem is the lack of a problem. Technically, there is conflict, but every time something approaches being a challenge for Corinne, it sorts itself out. There are ghosts in the house, they don't cause any trouble. Neighbor keeps invading your house, mostly just to give advice, she's harmless. Ghost wants a big feast, he'll supply anything you don't get. Mysterious note appears on your face one morning demanding items for a spell, the spell's a dud. Sometimes you'll see stories with little to no conflict and they get by, usually with humor. Lucky Star and Nichijou, for example, have no stakes, but they're funny, and that's why the fans love them. Not being a comedy game, Dead and Breakfast has only good feels to offer, and I'm not moved. Here's a little tip for aspiring writers out there. If a character is infirm from start to finish in your story, they are backstory, and any suffering they go through, which in the real world would be harrowing, becomes mock-worthy. It wasn't long before I started using a comedy voice to read Julie's lines because she's so sad and pathetic, it's accidentally hilarious. The ghosts only fare a little better. Instead of making them unique and memorable, like, say, speed dating for ghosts, they have minimal character traits. The hungry one feels like he took his wife for granted. The kid never had friends and is sad she can't grow up to play baseball. The teen is so jealous of the living she wants to try to come back to life. Should you get the good ending and have them pass on, the game shows a hand-drawn image of them and plays music to try to sell a bittersweet parting. But to me, it was a checklist to fill out. The only character I actually cared about was the florist, who had character traits, quirks, a unique voice, ambitions, faults. You know, the things that make a good character. She interrupts you when you first meet her, she speaks in what seems to be a southern accent. The florist has been in her family for years, but she's not thrilled with it. She feels her lack of extensive education prevents her from doing anything greater with her life. She likes to knit! This is a character with charisma, depth, and personality. But where was that writing proficiency when making the rest of the cast? Throughout my playthrough, I had just nothing to say, which I suppose matched the tone of a game which also had nothing to say. This is a real code gray, tell my wife I said hello sort of arrangement. For the game that inspired nothing, it gets the most uninspired rating of 5 out of 10 and a warning to stay away. And I'm itching for new games.